Hello guys, welcome back to another episode of Everyday EDC. My name is Tyler and today we have a review for you. A review of the Spyderco Little Native. Alright guys, so this is a Spyderco Little Native. This, in particular, is some Flytanium scales with an MXG deep carry pocket clip. That being said, ignore that. Imagine that these scales are G10 because I want to review this stock, but this got traded to Travis, and so I need to knock out this review, and he's obviously getting all this. I'm not going to dismantle the knife so that I can do the review. I usually don't even open it. So going over the scales, these scales are very similar to the G10. It's just titanium. Everything, I was looking at it, is very, very much matched. Obviously, the hardware is in the same spot. It does have a typical wire clip, which is fantastic. It came with this, so I don't really need a deep carry or anything, but it did come with this one. A wire clip is fantastic. It's just as good. You really don't need to swap it out. All the edges are chamfered nicely, and on the inside, we have some recessed liners. See here if I can show you guys. A little dirty. There's some recessed liners for you. With a little bit of milling, as you can see, for some weight relief, but with the titanium scales on there, it kind of changes that up a little bit. So, ergonomics, you can only get a 3-finger grip if you are not choked up. This is meant to be used in the choked up position, and it is awesome, right? I have no issues with this choked up position whatsoever. And actually, when I choked up with this knife for the very first time, I thought I was going to keep this thing. I adore these ergonomics choked up. It just feels so cool. You have so much control with what you do here, and you can do that fine tip work. Just really, really nice. Action, this is on a compression lock with phosphor bronze bearings, phosphor bronze washers, and the action's just fine. It's not going to be drop shut, but you can just snap it shut and there's no issues. The blade is a tumble finish blade with S30VN, and this is made in Golden, Colorado. We have kind of like a little landing zone for your thumb here if you were going to use it like this, which I don't recommend, but you can kind of use it like this. Typically, I fall like this. So, but let's get you guys some specs because there's not too much to talk about here as far as what this is. This is the Little Native, and it's based on the Native series. If it looks similar to a Shaman, that's because they kind of all are part of the quote-unquote Native series, I believe. At least the Shaman should be, because it has this round profile, which I love so much, which is probably another reason why I actually thoroughly enjoy this guy. Without further ado, the overall weight with the Flytanium scales on there is coming in at 3.2, but the overall weight without the Flytanium scales, let's go back one, what did I do here, is coming in at 2.4. So the Flytanium scales add about a 0.6 onto the actual overall weight. Let's check your overall length. Overall length is coming in just shy of 6 inches, so, not an issue. I actually carried this in that 5th pocket in my jeans, and I didn't even notice it was there. So, I mean, it carries very, very well. I didn't even go over the blade length. The blade length is coming in at about 2.5 inches, and the cutting edge is coming over just over 2 inches due to that large forward finger choil, or half choil, rather. Let's get you guys some blade stock. Blade stock's coming in relatively thick, coming in at about 1.23 or 1.25. I say relatively thick because it is a smaller knife. The behind the edge thickness is coming in at about a 22 thousandths, close to 20 thousandths. So it's not going to be the sliciest, but it's going to be slicey enough for most things. The overall thickness of the scales is coming in at a 0.41 inches. Now, I also got that measurement from Blade HQ for the G10, just so you guys know. It's coming in at a 0.44, so apparently the Flytanium makes it a little bit skinnier. Take that for what you will, but 0.41 is very, very skinny. The overall height in your pocket's coming in at a 1.25, so very, very normal. 1.2, 1.25, even 1.3, they're just relatively normal knives. For example, I kind of showed this in my last one, but it's the first one that I have to grab. My Ria Epoch at its highest point is coming in at 1.3. And I consider the Ria Epoch just a standard sized knife. I mean, there's nothing standard about it. It's freaking awesome. But I consider the size of it standard, right? All right, let's get you guys some size comparisons. Here is your feldspar, mini feldspar rather, and your large feldspar or regular size and the mini feldspar. Obviously, this thing's much smaller than both. I'm going to do a battle video with this, I think, tonight, if I can squeeze it in. It's going to be another off-the-cuff battle video, so I'm going to have to try and... It's not that I wing them, it's that I don't write my notes ahead of time, so I do it in the moment. There's a lot less studying involved, and it's kind of seeing what I see in front of me, comparing the two. And I'll show you that in a second. But this is obviously smaller than these two. I diverted off track because the only knife that I have that kind of compares with this in size is going to be the battle video. And so that's what I was trying to get at, but you guys probably can't read minds. Here is your Civivi Brazen and your Civivi Elementum. Obviously much smaller than both. Maybe about an inch shorter than the Elementum and much shorter than the Brazen itself. Last but not least, we have your Spyderco brethren. We have your Sage 5, which is coming in much larger. Sage 5 actually here looks huge, right? And then you have your PM2. The PM2 looks freaking massive next to this guy, right? But, I mean, it's really not. The Little Native's just a small knife. So, overall, what are my likes? Well, starting out, I really, really like how pocket-friendly this guy is, right? This thing is just stupid pocket-friendly. It goes in that fifth pocket so well that you don't know it's there. It's kind of like it should be compared with a bug out, but they're two different things. It's hard to compare those two. I don't really see a comparison, but it's the same thing. It goes in your pocket and it just absolutely disappears, guys, especially with these deep carry wire clips or pocket clips or MXG clips. I mean, that's all that's sticking out. Put that into perspective. Let's go to the bottom of the screen. That is all you see out of your pocket, and it's not that much. So it just sits really nicely in there. It's thin, it's short, and it just carries so nice. The next thing I really like is I love the ergonomics when you're choked up. You have such control over this bad boy that it's just absolutely insane. You can do some push cutting, some fine tip work, and this is kind of one of those all-you-need style knives. I don't really know what else you're going to need in a knife other than some more slicing power, which you may not have with this, but you know, it's not a huge deal. Sorry, I was getting texts from work, so I keep trying to read them like an idiot. Don't really care right now. But yeah, you might not have the slicing power that you would have with something like the PM2, right? You have all that blade length, but you don't really need it for most of your everyday tasks. And even if you do, you can just do this draw cut right across, right? And there you go. There's your slicing power. So that is really cool. The last real thing that I like about this is there's something satisfying about fidgeting with this guy. It's not like the best action in the world, but it just fidgets fun. I mean, it's small, it's easy to manhandle. You can do the slow roll on up, you can do the reverse flick, you can do the thumb flick, and you can also do the Spidey drop, which doing it under camera is a little bit more difficult than not. Let's see if we can do it. Hold on. There we go. Spidey drop. So you guys know I hate saying that you can do the Spidey drop just because I feel like you can do that with any freaking knife. But yeah. So the overall price on this guy is coming in at about 130 bucks. It does come with you can get a lockback. You can get different lockup methods for this, and they vary by like 5 to 10 bucks in price. This one's coming in at about 129 to 130 bucks at Blade HQ. And for S30V, G10, and everything you're getting, despite being small, I don't know how mad I am at that price. I think that's fair, you know. Maybe, I mean, I don't know. 2 years ago, I might have been mad at that price, but with the way pricing is nowadays, I guess I'm not too mad because you're getting a lot, even though it's a little bit, right? It's just the ergonomics. There was just a lot of thought that I feel like went into this that came out relatively simple, but ended up being just overall really nice. kind of backtracking on myself. I know I skipped some. Recessed liners with a stop pin. We got a barrel spacer thing here for the pocket clip that goes through, and the pin goes here. There's just a pin that goes through, and you screw in there. Sorry for the backtracking there. I guess I forgot to do that. But yeah, so what are my dislikes going into this? I don't really have any dislikes. I have no dislikes about this knife. I think for what it is and what they're trying to do, I think it nails it. Wants. What do I want? Now this one's a little bit different. What would I want in this knife? Well, because I'm going to be gripping it like this at all times, I almost wish there was jimping on the spine right here, or crown the spine going on down here. Do something to where my thumb doesn't feel like it's just sitting on two ends of sharp blade stock, right? Because you're not going to hold it like this. This is weird. It's going to have this weird leverage point. It just doesn't make much sense. But right here, it's pretty good. So I wish they had done something like that. The last thing to point out here is I did review this as the normal model, but this isn't necessarily the normal model. This is a Little Native seconds knife. You can tell that by this tiny little notch on the blade right there. That indicates that this is a seconds knife. So what is wrong with this? Seconds basically mean that your knife is functioning very well. It's just there's some sort of flaw, usually aesthetic. Once I took this thing apart, on the tang, on the part of the tang that really doesn't matter, by the way, there's like a section that they like missed a grind or something. You can't even see it at any point in time until you tear this thing down. I mean, you just can't. So that's what's cool about seconds, is a lot of times you can't even tell where the issue's at. And you can't with this one. So a seconds knife, you might have been able to pick this up for 60, 70 bucks as opposed to 130. Just throwing that out there, right? But be mindful of that in the market. Make sure if you're buying a Spyderco knife, especially like the 150 and below, the non-sprint models, etc., check out the blade right there. Check for that actual little dimple that they kind of put a little notch in, because, I mean, you're going to get it, you're not really going to care, but you're going to care if you did not know it was a seconds and you paid full price. That is all I got for you guys today. My name is Tyler. This is the Spyderco Little Native. You guys stay sharp, stay safe, and have a great freaking day, guys. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. This is my Patreon. This is my Instagram, everydayedc_77. We'll do a special shout out to all the Patreons: John K, Sammy, Eggs and Ham, Jason M, Dogtooth, Kaiba, Mickey, Wolf, and Captain Steve. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great freaking day.